Hi Internet viewers, Steve Duer reporting from the Palm Court here at the World Financial Center. The Palm Court at the World Financial Center happens to be directly across the street from the World Trade Center disaster site. This room we're standing in happened to have been damaged during the event, but not severely, just cosmetically. And they were able to restore the room to exactly the way it looked before 9/11. These steps once led up to a land bridge, and the land bridge then led across into the World Trade Center complex. I would like to take you up these steps and show you the World Trade Center construction site. As we approach the World Trade Center construction site, it's been now 6 years that we have witnessed the tragedy, we have witnessed the cleanup, the planning, and now the reconstruction. They have every intention of reconstructing the World Trade Center so that we can all experience a rebirth of the World Trade Center. As we approach the steps here and the plate glass window, across the actual 16-acre site of the World Trade Center. This is the 16-acre site of the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center was erected in 1973 and was once home to not one, not two, but 7 buildings. All 7 buildings sat in the 16-acre area of land. As you look out across the site, you're presently looking at it in a state of reconstruction. They have every intention of reconstructing the site because if they left it untouched, all we would ever remember is the tragedy. But the reconstruction will allow our nation and our people to experience a rebirth and a renewal within our country of the World Trade Center. They are planned to build several different things. But before we address that, let's talk a little bit about where the towers once stood. First and foremost, if you look across the site, you'll see a 50-story building. That's One Liberty Plaza. That is a 50-story building. The Twin Towers were 110 stories. So this structure there, the towers were double the size of that building across the site. This 16-acre area was home to 7 buildings. The twin one of the towers was directly across where we're standing, where you see the trailer. That trailer is where tower number 1 stood. Tower number 2 stood over that way. On 8:46 on September 11th, plane 1, flying from the north to the south, flew directly into the 95th floor of tower number 1. 22 minutes later, the plane flew from south to north and flew into the 79th floor of tower number 2. 52 minutes had gone by before tower 2 fell. And in those 52 minutes, tens of thousands of people were indeed evacuated. However, the next day, the media said that tens of thousands of people had died. Not true, because at 8:46 a.m. in the morning, they know exactly how many people are in this complex. And at 8:46, approximately 6,000 people are in the complex. So for the media to say that tens of thousands died is just inaccurate and false. Sure enough, as tower number 2 fell, it fell straight down. Another miracle. The building didn't fall over or to the side, it fell straight down. Indeed, keeping the damage to the site itself. And then as tower number 1 fell, the same thing. Fell straight down, limiting the damage to the area itself. One thing that everybody should know in reference to the 9/11 tragedy is that the comparison of how many worked here full-time in relation to the actual number of that died. 63,000 people worked here full-time. 63,000. Out of that number, 2,750 perished. That's a little over 4% that died that day. Now, no disrespect to the victims or the families, but in relation, that's a little over 4% that died. I don't know about you, but in my book, that's a miracle. That's a miracle that only 4% perished. Of course, the media only focuses on the death and the destruction and the sadness, when there are several examples of miracles and things that we could talk about that do nothing more than lift us up and keep us hopeful. Of course, the plane flying in at 8:46 a.m. in the morning, early enough where the majority were not working here. The towers falling straight down. And another quick thing, if you look across the site, you see a grove of trees. Those trees belong to the St. Paul's Chapel complex. You see the steeple to the church rising up out of the top of the trees. That happens to be the only one single solitary structure at the perimeter of the World Trade Center disaster site that did not get an iota of damage. That church did not even get a broken window. As I share this, ask yourself, how often do you ever remember hearing about the media mentioning the church in any way? Of course, it being a church is unique enough, but it's even more unique because it's the oldest building on Manhattan Island. It is the oldest single surviving old building on Manhattan Island, built in 1766, and survived not one, but two other major disasters besides the 9/11 tragedy. Ask yourself again, how often did I hear about that church? Of course, they have every intention of developing the site. They plan to rebuild it so that we can relive a renewal. They have every intention of building a lower Manhattan train station. They're going to build a train station to streamline all the subway lines and all the path lines into one single shared facility. Realize that the southern tip of Manhattan Island is the busiest business district in the United States, bringing in 600,000 people into one area. Carrying 600,000 people into one small area is a challenge. They plan to build a lower Manhattan train station to streamline subway and path lines into one facility to move more people in less time. They plan to build a memorial, of course, a very fitting, moving memorial called Reflecting Absence. Reflecting Absence will be 2 square pools of water that will be placed right where the Twin Towers once stood. These 2 square pools of water will reflect the absence of the Twin Towers. Reflecting absence. Of course, they also plan to build a series of buildings along with the construction of the Freedom Tower. And the Freedom Tower will be built right here on this corner, right where these 2 cranes are placed. The Freedom Tower will be built here and planned to be built at 1,776 feet in height to mirror the year 1776, the year we claimed independence from England. You must understand, viewers, that the decision makers on the Freedom Tower feel that on 9/11, our freedoms and the way we choose to live were threatened. And they feel the building will be very, very appropriate in the sense of being built that reflects a very poignant, important year in our country's history. 1776, the year we claimed independence. But get this building will be built 408 feet higher than the Twin Towers. That is a significant increase. Now, right now, I'm going to play both sides of the fence with you because I want you to understand the dynamic here. 408 feet, that is a significant increase. It's not just a gesture of we're gonna kind of show you. This is a gesture of where many people can see being a bit bold or brash. You have to understand that the United States of America is a very prideful country. We're very proud of being American. We wave our flag at any given time. We play the national anthem wherever we go. And when one American talks to another American, there is a shared understanding of American pride. But to non-Americans, this patriotism at times can be nauseating. So realize that this building going up at 408 additional feet can be seen by non-Americans as bold and brash, and yes, unfortunately, an example of American arrogance. But I follow up with this. The United States of America is a country that's damned if it does and damned if it doesn't. If we build low, we're cowards. We build higher, we're arrogant. So no matter what we do as a nation, it just seems that no matter what we'll do, it will always be regarded by some as inappropriate. The people that are going to be building this structure feel that the structure would be built with safety and a great deal of standard in mind. We are expected to reopen this complex by 2015. The Freedom Tower opened by 2012. I look very forward to being a part of the renewal and the reopening come that time. In the meantime, I plan to keep you updated and informed as the process of the reconstruction of the World Trade Center continues.